So Whiplash just had its 10-year anniversary about 2 weeks ago. It came out in theaters for one weekend, and I saw it, and I couldn't think of a better time to talk about this movie. Right out of the gate, I'm going to say I'm going to be spoiling a good chunk of this movie, so if you haven't seen it, stop the video, go watch it, come back and see this video. Right off the bat, I'm just going to say this is like top 3 movies of all time for me. I know it's not like a grand epic, but it is just has such a special place in my heart. I think it's basically a perfect movie. I think the acting is literally top notch. J.K. Simmons, in particular, I think is one of the best acted characters on screen. I think Miles Teller does a really good job, but J.K. Simmons steals the show as this just insane teacher. He has such a range of emotions. And then I'm willing to admit for like the first 45 minutes, I was like, this is kind of just a one-note character. But my God, he flips it around. He shows you every single side of the character, and I don't even see J.K. Simmons. I literally see Mr. Fletcher. It's so good. There's a reason he won an Oscar for this film. And like I said, Miles Teller does great. The fact that he's actually playing drums most of the time is truly a feat. So the main reason I love this film is because how simple it is and how effective it is of delivering its message. If you want to be the best you can be at something, for instance, this is drums. You have to sacrifice pretty much everything. And that message hit so hard for me 10 years ago, and it's such a motivating movie. If there's a hobby or something you want to get good at, go watch this movie. You might get a little depressed, kind of, sort of, because this movie does not shy away from how depressing it is when you just want to get good at something. You just have to literally forget everything else in life. But it also deals with all the emotions and everything, and the highs and the lows. This movie just deals with it all, and it has such a good way of showing it. Like, for instance, there's a love interest introduced, which, by the way, I hate love interests in most films. They're very rarely done right. So I kind of rolled my eyes when they introduced the love interest in this movie. And then 30 minutes later, it's the third scene with this love interest. Andrew is literally like, hey, I got to break it off. You're too distracting. I can see I really want to be the best drummer, and I have to end this. And I was like, wow, this movie actually did it. It ended the love interest, and now I'm kind of like sad that he ended it. Like, I really feel for this character. Shit. Like, it felt like a real guy. But the main draw, J.K. Simmons himself, Mr. Fletcher, the reason you watch this movie is for him.
Why do you suppose I just hurled a chair at your head, Neiman?
If you deliberately sabotage my band, I will fuck you like a pig.
Now, are you a rusher, or are you a dragger, or are you going to be on my fucking time?
The back and forth between him and Miles Teller is the reason you watch this movie. It's the bread and butter of this film. The relationship starts off pretty soft, pretty tame, and then it gets pretty heated, and then they stop talking in the film, and then they get back together, and it's a whole roller coaster. The last 5 minutes of this film, the final scene of this movie, is so good. It is so good. It's such a good payoff. You've been watching Andrew train this whole time. You've been watching J.K. Simmons just beat into Andrew, like how good he has to be and how much he has to sacrifice. You've seen them both just yell at each other and fight and then not talk, and then the last scene is the same thing. It's so good. First, Andrew has the upper hand, and then J.K. Simmons has the upper hand, and then Andrew has the upper hand, and then J.K. Simmons has the upper hand. And then at the very end, you see Mr. Fletcher smile, and you're like, oh my God, he did it. He became the best drummer in the world. It's so good. The ending scene is so good. And the whole movie itself is awesome. There's a couple of scenes in there. There's like a dinner table scene that I love so much. It's one of the scenes where J.K. Simmons is not even in it, and it's actually awesome. And the editing, this movie won an Oscar for editing and sound design as well, and very well deserved. I cannot imagine, especially the last scene, I cannot imagine what the editing room looked like. It's so well done. There's so many different sounds and takes and cuts and edits, and it's so well done. It's so good. And the music is awesome also. Like, I don't really like jazz that much, but I love this movie. The director also directed La La Land, so this totally makes sense. This was his first big movie. So without rambling on too long, I just kind of wanted to let you all know to go watch this movie if you haven't. I probably have a bias in that this came out right around when I was in college, so this was a perfect motivational movie. This 10th anniversary was the 4th time I've seen this movie, and I would honestly say it's gotten better every single time. So maybe it's not a bias. Maybe it's just an awesome movie. If you've seen Whiplash, let me know what you think. And if you disagree with me, don't even bother commenting. Thanks for watching.